We are officially live. I am here with Stephanie. How are you doing? I hope all is well for you. You do
Thank
not?
you. Glad to be here. Yeah, we're doing good.
Good, good, good. We are, Steph, we were talking about just the beginning and, starting off with just simply the idea of, I like to, you said you called me random, Stephanie. You called me random. I said I usually take the first 5 minutes and I'm, just trying to just kind of let people get on and to set up. And you was like, instead of just bringing random, and I was just like, okay, Steph, thank you for that. And
No
so,
problem.
you said that you had some another way of kind of presenting it, so I'm gonna
Yes, I
let
have
you.
some icebreakers for you.
Okay, okay.
Okay. So the first one is if you had to delete all except three apps from your phone, what three apps would you keep?
If I had to delete all but three apps, what apps would I delete? Oh man,
Oh no, which ones would you keep?
which one do I keep? I would definitely keep one. You gotta keep are you including the ones like that Apple automatically gives you?
No, no. Just
Okay, because I was wondering like if
randomly
I
pick
like you
three
have to
apps.
have like the phone and those types of things. So I'm thinking things like I would definitely would keep like I have to keep the ESPN app. That's one thing that it keeps me up to date. But actually, right now it's very very not valid. Like it's just like the
Really
most
good.
invalid thing in the world right now. They're just so anyway. So I would say ESPN app. I'm a man. You know I got to keep my Blueprint app. Nah, I wouldn't. But I don't know what apps I would keep. I'm scrolling through my phone right now. You know, hmm, my Noseby app. My Noseby app is very important because I do a lot of things on Noseby, and that's the way that things are communicated. And again, I'm assuming my email app and all those things are to
Sure.
my Noseby, my Delta, Noseby app, Delta app, and my book app.
Oh, so you let go of ESPN.
Yeah, I let go because it's not valid right now.
Okay.
Because these are like real questions. Because in Corona 19, Corona might get into our phones and they might like tell us to stop. So yeah, so I think that's one.
Okay. Did you name your first car?
Did I name our first car? No, I did not
Does
name
your
it.
current car have a name?
I just call it Nam car. Right. So like whenever I name, like I'm so bad at naming. Do you name your cars? I do know that you do know
I
name your
do.
cars. What's the name of
I
your
do.
car?
My car right now is named Gomer.
Gomer. Like I'm assuming that that's not a good thing, but
She betrays me.
she betrays. But
Um,
Gomer wasn't a woman, right? Oh, which
no, I
Gomer are you talking about? Oh, okay. I'm thinking about
his
Andy.
name
You thinking about biblical? So you're so much more spiritual than me. I appreciate
that's
you
so silly. Okay.
thinking of.
If you had to eat one meal every day for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, that's hands down. It would be tacos.
Mm-hmm.
100%
What is
tacos.
that? What
Tacos in any
taco?
ways and everything. My beautiful wife basically told me, yeah, we do name, Big Body. So like our big car has is called Big Body. I call one car the Nam. I don't call my gray car anything because there's, and maybe that's why, she has, I don't know. So I mean, yeah, so there's all different types of things. But yeah, Stephanie, I know you do name your cars. And actually, Sade says that you name your cars. So Sade's on here. So what's up, Sade? What's up,
Hey,
Angie?
Shadi.
Yes, I hope you guys all are well. This is a new way to start everything. Stephanie says my intros are normally random, so we're gonna do a little different today. Um,
Okay, this one's more serious. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
the best piece of advice that I've ever been given. Man, that's hard. So when you say best, the best piece of advice. Um, I mean, but one of the things that I think for my personality type, the one that just immediately popped to my mind, I don't know if it's the best, was when one guy says, "Hey, don't overestimate what you can do in a year, but don't underestimate what you can do in 5 years." I'm one of them types of people that I think I want everything done and I want it done like yesterday. And and I think that I always overestimate what I could do, and so being able to create balance that, just saying I need to kind of consider the long haul. So I think that that is something that that I would consider is some of the best that one of the best advice that I can get. So
Good. Okay, you want to go a couple more?
no, well, I mean that was good. Let's get a couple more, and then we'll jump in.
Okay. When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be a professional football player. That's easy. Professional football, I wanted to be just like my dad, a professional football player. And then after I was a professional football player, I was going to go then and be a coach. So football player and then coach. So that is, yeah. So that's it. That's good. One more, last one, and then we'll jump in.
If make sure it's a good one. If you were to compete in the Olympics and you could choose any sport to compete in, what sport would you compete in the Olympics?
If I can compete in any sport right now, basically, I would probably want to compete with the U.S. basketball team. That would be the number one thing that I would compete with right now, just because, like, you know, I grew to love basketball. My girls play basketball. I watch basketball. The only thing that I'm a true fan of. Like, people ask me, like, who are your fan? I'm only a true fan of one team. Like, because when I talk about fandom, I think about things that I get emotional about. It's like I'm a fanatic, and that is the Los Angeles Lakers. So basketball is my sport of choice right now, and that is where I'm at. So yeah, I would say that. That's where I would say. So Steph, there, I think that was pretty good. I think people probably enjoyed that a lot better than me just kind of randomly talking. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't get a chance to say what's up to everybody. So what's up, Sade? What's up, Angie? Pastor Elder Rob is on. Andre Anderson. Laura is on. Tiffany, what's up, Tiffany? Hope all is well. I hope all is well. Sam Dula. You know, I would send waves to everybody, but I'm not, because I'm saying hello to you virtually. You know, so today, basically, again, we are here every day online, as long as we're in the chronicles of Corona. This is my way of chronicling, you know, the coronavirus. And every day from 11 to about 11:30, we get a chance to interact. Sometimes I'm here by myself and I'm just kind of on my own soliloquy, but other times I bring in people who actually know what they're talking about. And, you know, and today I am bringing on someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And that is Stephanie Powell. Stephanie Powell. And Stephanie if you guys already know Stephanie, but for those of you who don't know Stephanie, she is our next gen director. She is someone that is, this is really important to my family and I. She sent the greatest. Today is my son's birthday. She sent the greatest. Her and her husband, Andrew, sent the greatest thing to our kids. It just lit his day for the day. Just like she sent this presentation it was just well done, Steph. So I really appreciate you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
And what I love about you, Stephanie, is that you're not just kind of someone who, like, you just all of a sudden, you know, you just, because you recently become the next gen director. You've been our Hello World director in the past, but you recently have just become our next gen director. But what I love about you is that you never stop loving our children. You've never stopped loving the children in our city group. You've always had this natural bent for loving both our teens and our children. And now being a mother of your own, how does that feel?
It's really different. I've done kid stuff a lot my whole life. I mean, really, since I've been 10 or 12, I was involved in some type of children's ministry. And so I've always done it and I've always loved it. And, but the last year of having Caden has been different than I expected or imagined. And I'm really grateful because coming back into this role as next gen director now as a mom, I feel like I'm able to see things and understand things that I didn't know before, that there wasn't any real way for me to know or understand before. So it's definitely impacted a lot of how I'm able to hopefully partner with parents in a better, more effective way.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. And like you that are passionate about things, you know, and especially when you are able to live it out, it totally gives you different perspective, different lenses. And so I'm really excited to see how God is kind of reshaping like who you are and how you even come alongside, you know, our parents to partner, you know, with raising up our kids. And so I'm just really, really excited. And for those of you guys who don't know, you know, while Stephanie didn't come up with the name Hello World, she is definitely a big part of the reasons of shaping the foundation to making it is what it is. but she is actually the person who came up with the name Crew, which is our, with our youth, and so she was foundational in on the beginning on both ministries. And so today, you guys, I asked Stephanie to come on, and yes, Corwin, today is Glasses Day. For those of you who don't know, I do wear glasses, and I asked Stephanie, I said, "Do you think I should wear my glasses today?" And you said, "What, Stephanie?"
I'm a glasses person, so
She's
why
a
not?
Yeah, you're a glasses person. So I was just like, let me connect, with Stephanie. We're gonna do this glasses thing today. And so today is Glasses Day. But I want to bring Stephanie on today specifically because for those of you who don't know, for those of you who live under a rock and don't understand what's happening, one of the things that you might not have known, I don't want to I'm gonna break the news to you slightly, but the governor has said school is officially canceled for the remainder of the year. I'm gonna let that sit with you guys for a minute because to some of you guys, it may be like, oh, that's that brings you joy. Some of us may bring us fear. It can bring a lot of different emotions when it comes to this idea. But the reality is, it does something to you. It's not like this is kind of catching any of us off guard, but we do know that now, kind of the finalization of it, like it's official. Like it's no longer like we think that we're going to be out of school for the rest of the year. No, we are out of school for the rest of the year, which officially means that because as a church, what we're saying is that we're not gathering while we're not in school. So we are officially not gathering for the remainder of the next 2 months. That brings all different types of things. But today we really want to talk. I want to bring Stephanie on to talk about what are some ways for us to recalibrate and to rethink how we are to engage with our children as it relates to kind of being with our children for the next 2 months. So Stephanie, like as you've thought about some of these things, like what are some practical advice? What are some points that you would give to everyone?
Yeah, I think, yeah, it is like we've been in it and we have known that the likelihood of this continuing, kind of knowing that school is going to be like this until and kind of fold right into the summer, and just the finality of it, I think, brings a new grief, and so that's kind of my first thing that I think it's really important is to take time to grieve. We're right in the middle of the week, and so you may not have time right now. You may need to get to the weekend or whatnot, but I think it to intentionally make space for your own grief, for each of your kids' griefs, and as a family, and finding ways to honor your sadness here. So that, I mean, simple things, even just letting everybody name everything, every little thing they're sad about. Saying it out loud is a great way to honor your sadness. You can write notes about it, reflecting, or write notes to people of relationships you're sad to be missing or disconnecting. And there's lots of practical things you can do, but even recognizing, I mean, you've got eighth graders who are all of a sudden, this eighth, ninth grade transition is huge, and now you're just home. And you've lost stuff you didn't even know you were going to get in those final goodbyes, or just even being able to say goodbye to teachers you may never see again, or classmates. You're going to different schools when you go to high school, and then you've got on the other end, you've got seniors. That's a huge transition, and there's so much loss there. And then the elementary transition, and then all of the middle grade. There's just a lot of different layers, and it's going to impact each child differently. And so really giving space for each kid to honor their loss, to validate it, to be present with it, to not try to make it better or look on the bright side, to just let it be what it is. And then finding tangible ways to honor those losses. So whether it's writing things down or planting a flower or flying a kite, but even something tangible, lighting a candle even, something simple to let your kids know, to let your family know we're together in our sadness. I'm with you here. I think is really important because this is there's not real closure here.
And
There's
I
no
think
like
that's
goodbye final.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really very good, practical. And I know that some of you guys was just like when she says take time to grieve, that you automatically go to like, oh, that's we're assuming that this is a bad thing. Grief is just simply, it doesn't mean, it just means it's honoring the loss of things. And I love what you said, because even like one of our daughters who is currently in the eighth grade, like she is grieving over the reality. Like she was just like, I don't remember talking to her. She was just like, hey, this is the time when I was gonna go on all of my trips, my eighth grade trips, all of the fun, all of the things, the exciting things, and I'm not gonna be able to have a chance to do that, with our friends. And like I'm not gonna be able to go through graduation. I'm not gonna be able, so it's just like that is a real like reality. And so when taking that time to grieve, it's not just about, man, that they're just feeling like I'm stuck. But it's like, no, these are real things for real, that are real realities. And so giving your space to really honor that and say that there's everybody's experiencing loss in this, and it doesn't mean that I'm tired of being around you. It just means that there's things that I just want to honor and loss. I love that. So take time to grieve. The second, what's another thing that you would say?
My second thing is to embrace who you are, embrace your family, and don't compare to others. So don't compare to other moms and dads, other marriages, to other people's kids. There are different ages and different personality types, or people who have different types of job than you. Just comparing, and it's just going to lead to discontentment. Or on the flip side, you're going to try to mimic that other parent that you see, and what is working really well for them, you're just going to try to copy it, and it's going to be awkward. You're going to kind of be like David putting on Saul's armor. Like, it's not what works for you. And so I think just being honest with who you are, what your family is like, what your needs are, what your work rhythms are, and crafting your plan around that, not based on, you can find great tips and ideas from other people, but ultimately you've got to craft what works for you. So you've got to be honest and embrace who you are and your family.
So how would you differentiate the difference between embracing other tips or looking for other tips and comparing, who you are? How would you differentiate that too?
I think part of it is going to, like, are you taking, a real easy way to think of it is you hear a tip, and the tip might be like, do blocks. And you can think about, okay, you can try it. Do blocks work for you? But if you're not willing to, and this kind of gets to the next one, but if you're not willing to let it go, if you're feeling like you have to force something to work that's not working, or you're just taking the practices only and you're not looking at the principle. So what's the principle behind these routine options? The principle is create some type of consistency in the midst of inconsistency. Create some type of structure. It can be flexible. It can be fluid. So are you taking the principles with the practices, or are you just kind of attaching to the practices and thinking, I have to stick to this or else it's not going to
I
work?
love how you differentiate the difference between principles and practices, and try to draw out the principles, but the practices gives us the ability to contextualize based upon our circumstances. But so we
Yeah.
can get good tips from other people, and we can draw out the principles from
Yeah.
what they're doing, but then our practices may look different. And you said that kind of leads to the third one. What's the third one?
Yeah, they're going to be willing to adjust your plans. If you make a plan and it's a really great plan, and then you need to make changes to it, it doesn't mean you failed. It's just kind of where we are right now, that we have to adjust and adapt as we go. And so the things that have worked for you the last couple weeks, when you're thinking of the next 8 weeks of school, they may not be sustainable for 8 weeks. So you may need to adjust your plan there. And then also just recognizing some people are really good at changing plans. Other people, that feels like failure. It feels really discouraging. It was a lot of work to make the plan in the first place. I don't want to change it. So just kind of recognize your own personality and struggles there. And if you have a hard time changing the plan, then make sure you make a plan, and part of the plan is revise and change the plan in a week, or look at the plan in a week. Like,
How
make
is
it part of.
how has that worked for you? I mean, you adjusting to time with Caden, and like, and pretty much, I mean, no one could plan for this in the sense, like 3 weeks ago, like, or 4 weeks ago, this wasn't even a thing. Like in America, we felt like we was Teflon. It wasn't gonna come over here. It was gonna be something that the rest of the world had to deal with, but it wasn't coming to us. But now, like, it is real. We are in it. We are like, and so for you, how did you have to adjust your plan, and how have you kind of managed that?
Yeah, so I really feel like the first 2 weeks I was just operating under day to day, just to make it. I'm just gonna make it through today, and then But it kind of, that wasn't sustainable, and it kind of caught up to our whole family unit over the weekend and the last few days. And so we kind of sat down and both kind of looked at our work rhythms and were like, okay, neither of us really like to operate under a strict time dead schedule in the day, but we needed it. And so we kind of implemented some new things that we're going to try. And I'm one of those people who, when my plan doesn't work, I feel like it failed. And so then I don't want to make a new plan because it didn't work. And so, like, thinking about this of like, okay, if part of the plan is to change the plan, really helped me go, okay, I'm not, it doesn't mean I failed, it doesn't, whatever. And so we'll look at it again in a few days. We'll take what works and keep it. Things that doesn't, we'll move from there. So I think we're kind of moving into the, okay, this is going to be longer. We can't do day-to-day survival. We need to act like this is a new normal and figure out how we can try to thrive and not just survive each day.
Yeah, I think that's good. And by the way, you guys, I just want you to know, Angie and I are probably on plan three. You know, we are. It's. I think it's really important for us to be flexible with our plan and be able to recognize that. You know, and because like you creating, sometimes you can get so rigid to making your plan work that you just end up losing the opportunity that God has ordained, you know, for us to be able to use in this moment. And so I think that that's really important for us to give ourselves grace when it comes to making plans and adjusting to those plans. Anything else?
Yeah, the last thing that I would say is to, in the midst of all that's going on with your kids, to prioritize connection over control. Do all that you can to avoid power struggles, and make your priority to connect with their hearts. And so you can think of it also as like connection over perfection. Like it may seem like what you really want is for everyone to just behave perfectly, sit still when they're supposed to, do their outside time when they're supposed to, go through. But in reality, if they were acting like that and kind of robotic in that way, they wouldn't be showing you their hearts. They wouldn't be showing you their anxiety on the inside that's going to come out on the outside. They wouldn't be showing you their grief that's going to manifest through their body. And that's really what you want most, is to connect with their hearts, even though them behaving perfectly would make it easier. And so just even remembering that kids and teenagers take for granted the people that they trust the most. And so they're going to take you for granted, and them showing you what's really going on inside is a indicator that they trust you. They don't do that with people they don't trust. They fake it, you know? And then also just don't assume that the kid who is behaving really well or managing their work well or kind of doing their thing on their own, don't assume that they don't need help. Make sure that you're also checking in. So kind of on both ends of the spectrum, make sure you're prioritizing connection, both with a child who's kind of behaving as you would be ideal, and both for those who aren't, to make sure connection is the goal there.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So Steph, okay, let me just kind of recap what I heard is that when we're talking about like the next 8 weeks, right? We're all like, summer hasn't officially began because we still got schoolwork to do, but they are officially in our home, right? With tighter restrictions, more lockdown, you know, that has been put on by our governor and our mayor. You know, but we're still responsible for school. The 4 things that we talked about is, 1, take time to grieve. That's sad, but sadness is not bad. It's just taking time to honor what we have lost in this COVID-19. Number 2, embrace kind of who you are. Don't compare, right? There's a difference between getting best practices and tips, but please, please, please don't like take the principles, like contextualize the practices. Number 3, adjust your plans. Give yourself grace. Like after plan 1 fails, go to plan 2. After plan 2 fails, go to plan 3. And keep making plans, but it's like, it's okay. Adjust your plans to the situation. And number 4, prioritize connection over control. I love that one. You know, I think that is so critical, because like we can kind of be so focused and so caught up on our plan that we end up losing this opportunity that we have our kids, we have our spouses there, and we can prioritize the ability to connect over simply trying to make sure that we're in control.
Mhm.
So some people, I want to give some time for us to kind of, for you guys to respond. Jessica Harden says this. She says, from a teacher's point of view, I can recommend parents reach out to teachers as best they can, um, as best they can, and communicate difficulties when it comes to rhythms with schooling, especially with elementary kids doing online learning. We have essentially created rhythms in classrooms that your kids have learned to operate within. I'm sure teachers are more than willing to help those if it would be helpful, even if it needs to be tweaked in the present scenario. So that is like, see your teachers, see your kids as advocates. You guys, like, Angie has engaged and has talked to many kids, because you know what's interesting is that I have children and I love my children, right? That's how you know I'm about to say something bad. I love my children. And the reality is that my children would sit in front of a computer all day. And then somehow we will get a note from our teacher saying, so and so, I'm not going to put any of my kids on blast, but so and so has not done any work for the last few days. And I'm like, let me think about this for a minute. How do you sit in front of a computer all day to find out that you have not done any of the work? I'm at a loss. I'm at a loss, y'all. But I mean, but my kids have managed a few. I'm not gonna say all of them. A few of my kids have managed to accomplish that task. It seems like it is harder to sit in the front of a computer all day and do nothing and act like you're doing something than to actually do the work. So Stephanie, fix me. I need you to fix me. I need you to fix that situation because I don't know what to do with that situation. But that is kind of a real thing on what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I can come back to that, but I was thinking more about Jessica's point of utilizing if you reaching out to your teachers because it's a way to not reinvent the wheels to avoid double work because and it's also a way to create consistent routine that they're familiar with. So whatever kind of rhythms and routine, you don't have to reteach them. They can just kind of if you can adapt those to your home. So I think that's really valuable thing for parents to remember to reach out to their teachers and kind of identify those things because that can be really helpful.
Yeah. Well, thank you for ignoring my soliloquy or my comment, but you know, yeah, no, but I mean, definitely make sure that you guys are leveraging. You're leveraging your teachers. I mean, there's so many kind of helpful tools, helpful things that we are doing. You know, I mean, you know, so like, okay, Steph, what about like kids? Like, kids are gonna be at home using screens more. Like, you know, they're gonna be in screens more. Like, what's your advice? If they're gonna want to be on? So, like, my kids like sometimes want to rush through their homework so that they can get on screens, even though we have like policies that you're not supposed to even be on screens. But now we've kind of let lighten up some of that because of COVID-19. What is your advice to parents in that
Yeah,
regard?
I think my fundamental advice would be check your internet filters and make sure that they apply to all the different apps. Kids are going to be at home more, they're on more devices, they're on them more often, there's more ways to get around filters. And so just check your filters. It'd be an easy time for kids to be sneaky on devices or for an ad to pop up and then it starts something for them. So just be mindful that there's more screen time, there's more opportunity for those types of things. So check your filters and then readjust your screen time routine and limits. You may need more because you have to work, and that's okay. You may want less because it makes your kids grumpy, like in their home more, and you don't want them grumpy. So just know that I think there's a lot of flexibility there to figure out what works for your family. It may be more, it may be less, it may be the same. But
Well, talk to a little bit about, even Sade asked this question, a little bit about the guilt that you feel whenever you adjust, like, hey, I need you to spend more time on screens, or because you're grumpy, or less times, you know, on screens because you're too grumpy, or more times because I gotta get some work done. That, as a parent, you can feel guilt, or just even as someone, you can feel guilt. Like, how do you address the guilt that you may feel in that?
yeah, I mean, this is coming from like I'm in this every time that I have to put Kate in front of baby Einstein so I can take a meeting. Like I feel so guilty, and so I think a lot of the things. One, I just think remembering there's always enough grace. And there's enough grace to connect well in the moments that you have. And that this won't last forever. We don't know how long this is going to be like this, but it won't last forever. But also, I think that I can't speak to dads as much as I know the moms struggle, but we have this pressure to have the same connection as a full-time stay-at-home mom and also be a full-time employee, and it's not possible. And so recognizing I can be a really good mom and also be a really good employee, and those two things can coexist. And I even thinking about, like, there's the type of balance of walking. You go a little to the left, a little to the right, and so sometimes I have to lean a little bit more toward work, and then other times I lean more toward Caden, and just being mindful of that balance. I think the guilt, though, we just have to take it to the Lord and trust Him that He sees us, He knows us, He loves us, and that we're offering our fish and our loaves. This is what I have, Lord. Please let it be enough. Please let my 1 hour of focused time with Caden today be enough. Would you multiply? I think I don't know that there's an easy answer.
No, and I think that's really good. I mean, the bottom line is that no matter what you do, the things that you do, you're going to feel guilt. We can't avoid the feeling of guilt. And I love what you're saying. It's not about whether or not you feel guilt, it's what you do with your guilt. A lot of times what guilt does, it leads to shame. And that shame oftentimes can lead to toxic shame. And I think one of the things that we have to recognize is that the difference between guilt and shame is that guilt is something that we do, is the things that we do, and shame is a lot of pointing at who we are. And so whatever there's things that we do or not doing, that can lead to guilt, but then it's so connected to based upon who I am. And shame, all healthy shame just leads us to the fact of what you said, that I'm human, I'm not God. And I just pray that I don't have the resources or the sufficiency within in and of myself to be all of what my child needs or all of what my spouse needs. But it's really when we recognize that we are human is that we're able to take our humanity to the one who is superhuman, which is our Father who's in heaven. And so I just really wanted to encourage you guys is that don't try to avoid guilt, but just take your guilt. And then there's times just take your guilt and ask your kids for forgiveness. Ask yourself for forgiveness. Ask your spouse for forgiveness when you feel those. Don't allow it to become toxic, because if you allow your guilt to become toxic and become toxic shame, what ends up happening is you begin to blaming others. You blame your children, you blame your spouse, you blame everyone else, and you end up being like, oh, I talk about like at the first Adam, the woman you gave me, right? It's always someone else's problem. So I really want to encourage you guys. And Stephanie, I really appreciate you spending the time with us today and just giving us some helpful pointers, some helpful things for us to engage as we are going into official homeschool mode for the next 2 months with our children. So guys, take time to grieve, embrace, don't compare, adjust your plans, and prioritize connection over control. You guys, I'm here again with Stephanie Powell. She is our next gen director here at the church. She is someone that we all know and we all love. Every day with all of the stuff that we do, we always follow up each one of these things. We tie it up in a blog. You guys can go check out their blogs. Those will be in the comment of where you can find this blog later on today, and even last blogs from the past episodes that we have. Tomorrow is my favorite day, Feelings Friday. Tomorrow with Feelings Friday, we actually got Chip Dodd coming in, and he's going to share with us a little bit about Feelings Fridays, and I'm going to have a theme for us, so you don't want to miss tomorrow. I'm looking forward to doing it, going into the weekend. And again, like we say every day, if you have been adversely affected because of the coronavirus, please send any requests to finance@blueprintchurch.org. If you want to give above and beyond, to those who have been adversely affected, please, please, please go to blueprintchurch.org/give. If you need prayer, and many of you guys have sent some prayer requests, keep sending them in, and you can send in multiple prayer requests. You can send another one today. You can send them every day. But send those to blueprintchurch.org/prayer. And so we are just really excited, you guys, for the opportunity to come and to bridge and this gap as we walk through the chronicles of Corona, the Corona Chronicles. So, but again, we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us again. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you, Stephanie, and we'll see you next time.
See y'all.
Peace.